If we're talking about like Nathan and Haley, but we're trying to go with Bethany's idea of her assumptions of Nathan and watching from the perspective of her saying that, he always has a way of kind of backpedaling or saving his own butt, but he doesn't really know how he's supposed to handle a situation and he's always trying to save his stuff or something like that. I want to talk about how Haley did the same exact thing from the very beginning because the manipulation that she did with Lucas was always like my side eye. I was like, it's one thing to fall in love, and I totally get that. You can't help who you fall in love with. But the intention of putting yourself in the narrative of higher than thou and always trying to autocorrect something that you yourself do has always annoyed me. I don't want to sit here and say that I'm not Team Nathan. I think Nathan, his background, his parents, his relationship with Lucas, his relationship with Peyton, those were beginning factors. And for the most part, I can understand the arrogance that he had because when you are celebrated like that, you do get that kind of attitude because people do let you slide. People let you have it whatever you want. You're dating the most popular girl. You're getting away with things that you shouldn't get away with. You get that arrogance about you because you are you. And being you does give you certain privileges. I get that. But for Haley to sit here and I guess for Bethany's perspective, and it kind of goes throughout the drama queen's narrative most times, is they excuse their female behavior as trying to discover themselves. And I'm not necessarily against discovering yourself, but Haley did a lot of things. The backstabbing of Lucas, because why are you falling in love with somebody who's tormenting me? That makes me question your character towards my friendship. Like, why are you trying to fit in with people who did not want me there? Like, through the entire first season, Lucas is really on the outs, and the only thing that gives him an in is the fact that he is playing basketball and that Brooke wants to sleep with him, but Peyton is still treating him shitty. And when Peyton finally stops treating him shitty, she throws it back in his face that he ruined her relationship with Brooke, and it took two people to do that because Peyton said no. And he's still being treated shitty through the entire process. And then Haley goes in and tries to fit in with those girls who dismiss her right after they're done using her to fill in the need of what she was there for. So that throws me through a loop. And then by the time season 2 comes around and everything's kind of like gelled into a pattern where everybody's cool with everybody, Haley leaves Nathan and then almost makes him want to commit suicide because he's become so dependent on her that she leaves him without any kind of, so much as a well wish. And it's such a traumatizing experience to him. And then she's like, I'm trying to figure out who I am. Well, Nathan comes from a bad home. He has dependency issues. He has emotional issues. He has trauma experiences. And Haley doesn't have those type of issues. She comes from a stable environment where she does have brothers and sisters running around. They joke with her. They spend time with her. They are very chaotic around her and include her. And she's really close with Lucas, but, she comes from that kind of stable household where her parents are right there making fun of her, with her. It's a different type of vibe. It's nurturing, it's caring, it's loving. They want to make sure she's home by 9 o'clock. Like, it's different. So for her to pull those stunts in season 1 and 2, it shows a lapse in her character. Then by season 3, when she's coming back into the fold of, I want to be with you, I love you, and all this other stuff, she punishes him in a way that you kind of look at her and say, you want to love me and you want to be here for me, but at the same time you're saying, I have flaws, but these flaws that you have are very evil and vindictive and manipulative. So by the time we get to season 4 and season 5 and the whole narration of her saying, you need to grow up and stop trying to use your father as an excuse, they have never gone to therapy. Nathan is still vastly different from who he was, but at the same time, he's still traumatized because his father just killed his uncle. he got in a car wreck and everyone was acting like he has all this trauma. There's a lot of trauma for him, and I get that when Haley pushes him out in front of a car and she gets hit, that kind of brings it back a little bit, but still it's just like, there are narrations here. There are things happening. So I guess how you start is how you finish, and even though at the end of it, it still works, and we still get to that point where people are like, Haley's always doing these sacrifices, so Nathan can go off and shine. It's not necessarily an even playing field because of the way it started, but the way it ended, I guess, balances out because they still do go on tour for her. Like, she still gets her needs met. It's just there's these moments where Bethany and Sophia and Hillary point out certain things that I guess as women they would point it out to make it seem like Nathan keeps a lopsided relationship of being a man. But at the same time, it's kind of like Haley is no better because her stuff really doesn't equal out to what he was doing. You have to be somewhere in the middle with that girl because it's very catty for you to fall in love with my abuser who's abusing me mentally, physically, and making me a social pariah in every aspect of my life. And then you're going to tell me as my best friend that you're in love with my enemy who's also my half-brother, who also acknowledges that I am our father's bastard. Like, that really throws me. I kept looking at her. I was like, don't make yourself be so pink. Like, you a little red with a little green somewhere in there. So let's be more honest and be more serious. Okay? Okay.